All right. Welcome, April 1st, 2024, Monday. The last topic for our course is the aerial work platforms, and this one was prepared by Mr. Cunningham. Yay! All right, there we go. Okay, so as I just said a couple seconds ago, before I pressed the record button, there is no way of escaping working on some sort of elevated, situation. Right? Now, we have covered ladders and scaffolds. We haven't covered this topic yet, which is area work platforms, and this could be scissor. Mostly, there will be scissor lifts, just like what you see on the picture. Let me just bring this thing to a full screen. I think it's Control L. Let me see if I'm going to screw this thing up or not. Control L. All right, there we go. It worked. So just like this thing here that we see on the picture, this is an example of a scissor lift. We're also going to cover some, to some knowledge, to some point, because this is not a training. The training that you're going to need for this and the certification or the proof of the training in the form of something that's called a lift ticket, popularly called lift ticket. It's going to have to be on ongoing basis, and it happens every 3 years. Every lift ticket expires every 3 years, and we have to be retrained on that to be valid. If we are not trained and we can't prove that by presenting a lift ticket to the inspector if they ask for it, then we could get ourselves in all kinds of financial troubles, right? In terms of being fined, and there are some legalities that go along with it. All right, if you happen to be working on that and don't have the lift ticket, and nothing happens. If something happens, if you don't have the training, and if you don't have the lift ticket and you're working on it and you do something that causes some sort of injury to someone, then the trouble escalates quite a bit. From what I heard, from what I was told is that it could actually be a jail time. Right. All right. So let's take a look at some of that, just so you know what this thing is about. And if you need to, for your work, if you need to get one of those trainings, first, most of the rental companies that rent, because usually you don't buy those, because depending on the situation, you might have to use one or the other kind, or whatever other shape or form of any of those AWPs here, area work platforms. But so and they cost money. They cost a lot of money. They are expensive, right? So you're not going to buy all kinds of them just so you can use one of them. So a very popular thing to do is companies, even bigger companies, they rent the specific platform according to the needs at of the work that is being performed, right? So those rental companies, either most of them do have training availability, so they can provide the training, and they do have people that are certified to train people who are to work who are going to work on this. Or if they don't, they will tell you, they will have the information of where you can get the training. That's one. Two, if you need that, talk to me, and I will direct you to the appropriate people who actually do the training. Yeah. So, all right. So, let's see here. An area work platform, AWP, also known as an aerial device or elevating work platform, EWP. So AWP, EWP, also known as cherry picker, bucket, or just a truck, or bucket truck, cherry picker truck, mobile elevating work. So that those those lift devices mounted on mobile devices such as like a truck or a van. Usually, you can see people buy those because there will be a company that deals with maybe hanging signs, and dealing with maybe some traffic lights or whatnot. So those are being purchased but those were just for one type of work that is being performed. But usually anything else is pretty much rented, because you just can't afford to buy all of those. Right? Also known as mobile elevating work platform, MEWP. What is that? It's a mechanical device used to provide temporary access for people or equipment to inaccessible areas, usually at heights. Here's a mouthful type of a definition here. Right? This is an example of a lift ticket. Now remember, you need to, in order to be able to work on scaffolds and ladders, you need working on heights ticket. That's not the same. It's not the same as the lift ticket. Right? The lift ticket is a separate thing. So you need two to be comfortable at and pretty much employable. Right? What does this one say by Mr. Cunningham? Any person operating an aerial lift or aerial work platform is required to be trained on the safe use equipment as well as any associated hazards. The license lifespan is 3 years. Right? So every 3 years, people have to be recertified. And here is what the lift ticket looks like. Right? It's a plastic card, one more plastic card. Right? You need that. I can't stress that enough. You need that if you need to work on heights and using the platform. And I'm going to repeat again, the working on heights ticket that lets you work on ladders and scaffolds is one thing, and this is another thing. So you need two of those. All right. What can we tell about the boom lift? So that this thing here is a scissor lift because, well, it expands upwards in a scissor-like type of a pattern. Right? So here is a scissor lift. These are boom lifts because that's a boom. What else? Where else do we use the word boom when it comes to an industrial type of terminology? A microphone stand. A microphone stand, just like a regular upwards stick, if you will, or a microphone with that regular upwards stick with the crossbar on it. That crossbar thing on the microphone stand, that's also called a boom. So this is also a boom. That's the boom part of it. See that here and here. Now, we distinguish articulating boom lifts and telescopic boom lifts. See the difference? Articulating, telescopic. All right, articulating. Here we have a boom that opens up almost like in a scissor-like pattern, but it's not a scissor lift. It's not it. Okay, this one just goes up and down. This one here, it's almost like a breakable pattern here. So that is called articulating boom lift. In some situations, this is better to use. And in some situations, it is better to use the telescopic boom lift. See, that's pretty much a straight arm. And it has some, certain pneumatic, I don't want to say circuitry, but mechanisms in order to extend that arm forward and upwards, right? Just like that here. It goes, this thing expands sometimes. Sometimes it's just not. It just lifts up like that. It depends, right? On how this thing was made. Like this one here, for example, you can see one of the stationary shaft, and here is the one that's well, you could call it a fly shaft. I'm just trying to find I'm just making up terms here. So, but this one extends telescopically upwards, right? So, telescopic boom lifts or articulating boom lifts. Both of them can swivel left and right with this platform here, right? Just like a tank turret. This can swivel and that can swivel. Whatever you do, and I'm pretty sure I told you that already, and I'm going to tell you that once more and maybe a couple more times. Do not ever drive this thing, because you do have that control here. There's a joystick and a bunch of controls that move things up and down, and you can actually drive this thing forwards and backwards. Whenever you are extended or on height, do not drive this thing. Sometimes it will let you drive at a slower speed, but still, don't ever drive that. What happens if you drive this? And I sort of like a digress here a little bit, but it's important. It might save your life. Don't ever, do not ever drive this when fully extended or even significantly extended. It will let you drive slower speed. What happens if you drive? There could be a bit of a wind going on, not in your favor. Or there could be slight slant on the pavement or the pavement that you're driving on. Sometimes when you stop, the whole thing comes to stop too quickly and it jerks forward, and depending on how far you're extended and maybe the wind or anything else, what can happen, you can actually tip that when you come to sudden stop. When it tips, it goes all the way down or maybe halfway down or something, and then it comes back up. But when it comes back, it just comes to quite violent stop. And when it does, it will shoot you out of this bucket like from a slingshot. You just go, yeah, it's not fun, right? You can actually die. So whenever you have to drive this thing, go down, drive it, and then go back up. Right? All right, so articulating boom lifts. Here is the articulating part here, okay? And telescopic part, here's the telescopic part right here. Okay, both articulating boom lifts and telescopic boom lifts can tackle tough jobs. Yay, all right? A telescopic boom lift lets you reach further with more capacity, putting you right where you need to be as simply and efficiently as possible. So it reaches you further, right? But if the job requires you to get up and over objects, you need an articulating boom lift. Right? So this one here, it will take you higher and further. But you need space, you need open space to do that. Now, sometimes you're going to have to drive these into production plants where there will be all kinds of machinery, catwalks, and whatnot. And you're going to have to, articulate your way around some of those. And sometimes it takes quite a bit of time to get this bucket up and around things and over things in order to get you to the proper position. So go to the bathroom first, because it's going to take you just as long to get down with this thing here, right? So why can't we just have one that's going to take you nice and high? All right. Well, because of different work situations. One of the most articulating situation that I had to deal with was when the company that I used to work for some years ago we got a contract with the UPS hub in Vaughan, Ontario. It's just like on the other side of Toronto. Huge UPS hub. It's almost like a small town. Some of the sorting plants, they were packed with all kinds of machinery that was configured in all different kinds of ways, and we needed to run some wires there. There was no way we could do that with the telescopic boom lift. No. We had to get that, and it would take sometimes it would take us some skilled maneuverability skills, some high maneuverability skills in order to get around some of the equipment and not damage it, right? Because all right, so so it will be the boom lifts here. Now we're going to take a look at some of the scissor lifts. Right? That's what a scissor lift looks like. This one looks quite high. Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. When you're up there and you look down, this looks like almost unnaturally too small. So you're going to have to get used to the, well, you're going to have to get used you're gonna have to get used to that kind of situation, that optical illusion. Because when you get down, yes, everything looks proportional. When you get up, oh wow, that little small thing holds this whole thing, and sometimes it just swivels back and forth just a little bit, right? Now, I'm going to digress again just a little bit. If you haven't worked on it for a long time, or is it one of your first times, or something like that, to work on those, you might feel a little bit uneasy when you get up there, even though it's here. What do? What happens? You become tense a little bit. That's not good, because if you're tense, you're prone to participate in some sort of an accident, right? What do? Just get used to it, okay? How do you get used to it? Just don't do anything for a minute or two. Just get used to the surroundings. Let your brain soak that in, okay? That you are on this kind of height, and this is the surroundings, and this is the world you're going to see while you're up there. Once, and it works. It's a really interesting way this thing works. You just don't do anything, relax. Easier said than done, but just don't do anything and let yourself relax. You will relax, right? Once you relax, you're going to be able to work in a way that you don't have that stress and tension, which means you'll be able to think clearly, and you can do the job safe. All right. So this would be scissor lifts. All right. A bit of an anatomy here. Here's the handrails, here are the tracks. Those sometimes they extend if you go up, and these rails can extend that way, and that platform here, that table, extends as well. You can push it out and retract it back in. So sometimes you can drive up to a wall, and then you have to work on something that is on top of, the wall goes only so high, and there's some more stuff that you need to reach. So you can drive up to only that wall, and then you can unlock those handrails, and because there are some safety pins here and whatever they are, you can just unlock them and extend that platform. You just have to remember to retract it back in when you're going to go down with that thing, because if you don't, well, all right. Well, this is a hydraulic type of of machinery, and those are, for the most part, they're going to be electric. Actually, I haven't seen a scissor lift that was not electric. Right? So there will be the batteries, and sometimes you're just going to have to follow the procedures that are going to be given to you, that you're going to have to plug that thing in. So you'll be given an extension cord, and you'll be shown how to plug that in for the night. So when you come back the next morning, because some of the projects take more than one day, so you're going to have to plug that in so the battery charges overnight. All right. Tires, scissor lift tires. Well, that goes also to the scissor lift here, and the boom lifts as well. You're going to have different surfaces, and different surfaces will require different types of tires. So when you are calling in to some kind of a rental company, that you're going to have to order in, because those things will be delivered to you on site, but they will need to know what surface you're going. Are you going to be working outside? Is it going to be a hard pavement, or is it going to be soft surface that you'll be working on? Then they will know what type of tires they need to provide for those boom lifts or scissor lifts, right? So what does this one here say? Scissor lifts use either rough terrain or threaded tires to improve traction on a range, or of soft materials or flotation tires for jobs that are on sand or grass. Right? So here's the long sentence here. Slab scissors, on the other hand, usually feature solid tires. Yeah. And ideal for level. So solid tires, you would usually go on hard surfaces, slabs, usually inside. Now, another digression that I'm going to make, based on the experience that I had over the years, make sure that you cover your behind on any possible damage that this thing can cause. These things are heavy. When you're driving inside, and depending on what kind of floor that is there, make sure there's no basement underneath. What kind of floor is it? Is it rated for that kind of weight? Because this is heavy. Sometimes some of the, like say for example, from my experience, some of the car salons, right? They will have nice shiny marble floor. That floor is already made so it can handle cars driving on it. However, this thing is much heavier than a car. Make sure that if anything happens, that you are not responsible for any kind of damage then that those wheels can do on the floor. So that if you're working for some company, you call your supervisor, make sure that they know, make sure that they talk to the right people and whatnot. So because quite often the floor does get damaged. The floor tiles crack, they break. Well, you don't want to be held responsible for that, even though you were told to do that job. Right? If you're working, if you have a private company, if you own the company, then you really have to make sure that that you are clear to enter that surface with this particular piece of equipment. Otherwise, if you say, oh, well, if you damage, then you're going to have to pay. Well, then maybe you shouldn't be doing this job, because sometimes you get the gut feeling, I don't like this floor. And sometimes those marble tiles that are installed in the, car dealerships with those salons, then yes, they are rated for that. But sometimes there's a bit of an installation glitch or something like that. You don't know how this thing will. There could be one spot in the whole floor that we drive with that wheel, So, but what we're talking about here is type of traction, right? On the inside, mostly you're going to have flat and soft, and when you go on the outside, just so you can drive this thing on, you're going to have, a little bit more perforated tires. So when you order that to be delivered to site, make sure you communicate with the rental company and tell them. They might ask you, but if they forget, you just have to be conscious of that. it makes a huge difference what kind of a tire is used while you're driving this thing or using this thing. So these are the scissor lift tires. Wow. Then here's the boom lift tires. Yeah. See, these tires are mostly flatter, and this thing is more perforated. And this one says indoor use only, and this can be used indoor and outdoor. All right, what does this one say? Traditionally, manufacturers offer 3 options for boom lift tires: air-filled, foam-filled, and solid rubber. The air-filled tires are the cheapest and have the best flotation on soft ground. Just like the car tires, they're air-filled. Now, foam-filled instead of the air. So you can drive over the nail, the air is not going to come out because there's no air. There's foam, and foam is not going to come out. Increase the machine handling and lasts longer than the filled tires, the air-filled tires. And here's the solid rubber, quite puncture resistant, lasts longer than the air and foam. But the solid rubber, they are mostly going to be those flat tires. So I would not drive this thing outside on the soft ground. You're just going to dig yourself in, or you're going to spin the tires in there. Operating safety essentials. All right. I was working on heights. Scissor lifts. The scissor lift safety is superior to using ladders and scaffolds. Well, yeah. The scissor lift fall protection offers a safer work platform. Yeah, okay. Excuse me. Yes, it is more comfortable to work on something like this, where you can walk around and have easy access to pretty much everything that you work on, than working on the ladders. So that's what this means here. Provincial and federal bodies mandate scissor and lift safety procedures. However, scissor lifts accidents can still occur. It's not the ultimate safety thing, right? You still have to watch out what you're doing in order to not get yourself into an accident. Scenario: working with lifts. Here are some safe tips. I know we have talked about this, but here's some more details, right? 14.5 feet from anchor to point on the floor. 14.5 feet from here, from the anchor to the floor. Right. That seems to be the you need to have about 2 feet above the ground. Ideally, sometimes it's not possible because you're working on quite a height that is quite higher. Right? But one thing I want to point out here, you gotta watch where you're going to anchor. The scissor lifts, they do have anchoring points for the harnesses and for the lanyards. The lanyards have to be government inspected. It has to be. You can't just go to some sort of saddle maker that makes horse saddles for theater productions and movies and ask them to make a harness for you. They just won't. Right? You have to go and buy approved, industry-approved harnesses, and we talked about that already. There are certain anchoring points on your body, and there are certain anchoring points on the equipment that you work on, and there are reasons for those to be there. There's also a difference between just a hard lanyard, which you should not be using, which would be just like a hard rope, or cushioned fall. So you see, here's almost this thing here. It's not a resistor, all right? This thing here provides it gives you a bit of a fall cushion, because when you fall over and you're anchored to an anchoring point, and when you run out of lanyard, this is the lanyard, that's the rope here, you're going to come to the sudden stop. What happens when you come to sudden stop? Well, you can break a lot of bones inside your body, including your spine, if when you come to sudden stop. So that's why you have that cushioned protection here. It's almost like a spring, it's almost like a rubber, but sometimes it just bunch of materials folded in a certain way and sewn in a certain way, so when exposed to that stress of falling, it starts expanding gradually, so it's going to cushion your fall. It's not going to bring you to a full stop suddenly, right? Also, when we were talking about the scaffolds, there was one picture that I showed that somebody was strapped right. They were standing on top of on the scaffold. Let's say this is the top platform here, and they were strapped right to the floor of it. So there's going to be quite a distance that the person is going to participate in a free fall, and then again, that's not good, because you pick up the speed and add the mass of your body, you come to the full stop, bang, you could actually injure yourself quite badly. So there are certain anchoring stops, like for example, see here, there's an anchoring point that you're going to snap or clamp your lanyard to it, and then you're not going to run the lanyard just straight down. You're going to go over and top of the top rail. So when you fall, there is the distance that you're going to fall from, like you're going to participate in a free fall, the distance is going to be minimized. All right. Not going to play those because this is recorded, so I don't want to violate any copyrights. So when okay, this thing is already posted, so I'm going to encourage you to click on those and watch some of the videos here on how if it's in person class, maybe you are going to play some of those tomorrow when we but download, click on those and see some of those videos here, and tomorrow when we see each other in person, we're going to discuss some of that here. All right. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this slide. All right. Hierarchy of fall protection. The hierarchy of well, here's the thing. You want to minimize the hazards, and according to whatever the hazard is, you want to minimize the risk of the hazard. So according to whatever the situation, different measures might be taken. All right. So first, you want to eliminate the hazard, if possible. If you can't eliminate the hazard, then you need to take some extra steps, whatever steps you can, to make it work as safe as possible. So, first step, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps. Hierarchy of the fall protection. 5 steps. First, try to physically eliminate the hazard. And here's a person that is removing something. Okay, they had to draw something. Right? Now, here is a passive fall protection. Put stationary railings, so that would prevent people to actually find themselves in a situation. Then, if you can't do that, and you still have to do some work, then there's the fall arrest systems. Right? Isolate people from the hazard. Right? Here's a bit of a leash that the person is on, right? And that thing here is going to let you go only as far as that thing is set. So if you're working on a flat roof, you might want to use that so you don't go further than this thing lets you, right? So here's a fall arrest. So isolate people from the hazard. Stops falling. All right. So the next thing here is fall arrest system is to stop fall or stops falling if one should occur. Right? There are different systems: harnesses, lanyards that have any kind of, well, all kinds of cushioning. Some of the cushioning, fault cushion systems will be just a folded material, and once you fall under the force of falling, that folded material is going to rip itself from the threads, and as it does in folds, so it's going to cushion the fall. Sometimes you're going to have those pulleys, and those are nice, more expensive, right? But those are probably some of the best, because what happens, it cushions the fall, and sometimes you can have that one that pulls you up, or you can have one that gradually, once you get the fall, because what happens here you got the harness, right? You got the harness to be applied to your upper body, but you also have one that goes around your thighs. See those two straps here? Right here. Right here. Okay. Now, those go up. And they, once you hang on that thing, once you fall, they do bite in to the, well, to this area right here. You don't have much time before you are going to, popularly say, pass out. Okay. You're going to lose your consciousness due to the poor blood circulation. So, and it happens in minutes. So if there's no one around, then you're not going to die from the fall, but you can actually get yourself into a lot of medical troubles, including, the ultimate, from not freeing yourself from that harness once you're hanging in there, once you're suspended. So some of those pulleys are designed that it cushions your fall, it stops you from falling, and it could be designed to gradually lower you down right to the ground. Or you can have one that some of them are mechanically, electronically controlled, that is going to pull you up. All right. So those are, the little folded cushion is in a way of folded material and sewn together with a strong thread. Excuse me. That's one thing, and the next, well, the better thing is to have a nice, systematically constructed pulley that works just like I explained a few seconds ago. And then administrative controls, that everything is included, such as training, mostly training, and choosing the right equipment, assessing the situation, and whatnot. All right, so here's team communications, active warnings and hazards. So here, putting pylons, and there are some regulations, rules and regulations, depending on situation, that you're going to have to apply certain measures that will provide warning or prevent people from getting themselves into the troubled situation here. Typically engineered anchor points, they are, and they will be explained to you once you have that, well, it says that it's a general understanding that we need to read the manual, but how many people are going to read the manual? Yes, you should read the manual of any kind of platform that you're going to be work on, and once the rental company is providing that to you, it will be included somewhere, right? The manual, actually, right, in a paper form. Anchoring points, typical engineered anchor. So the anchoring points are provided here. You don't just strap to anything as you please. There are specific anchors here. Okay, look, there's one here. And there's one here. And see where the person is strapped here? Here's a harness. Here's an anchoring point. It's on the inside of the platform. So when if a fall should occur, the whole free fall is going to be minimized, because that he's not going to free fall for much, because look, the railing is this high, and the lanyard was going to go on top of that, not if there was no railing and somebody was strapped to the floor, then you're not going to get yourself injured by hitting the ground, but you're going to get yourself injured just by the harness and lanyard working. So even though you do have the PPE can be your friend, but there's one condition. Well, more than one, but one of the more important conditions is that it has to be used correctly. Right? Now, here is Mr. Cunningham was kind enough to find some good or bad situations. All right. Is this good or bad? Well, I'm going to tell you, if you don't know, this is bad. Here's a person standing on top of the rails. One thing, doesn't have a harness. No, person should be standing on the floor of the lift. So lift that thing up and work on whatever you have to work on. Okay, what's happening here? Obviously, there is some sort of a damage happening here. Those railings are not intact. The equipment is in poor condition. Should not be working on it. Or it could be that it was lifted and somebody was not looking and hit some structure there. That's one thing. And here is the situation that makes things even worse. What is that? They have some sort of a working platform suspended between those two scissor lifts. Okay, that's asking for trouble. Here is another situation, and that reminds me one of the situation that I was able to see, and I'm still trying to unsee it. I see a person fall from similar situation like that. They survived, but so that's one. And the probably the worst case, and I actually think it's a real picture. I don't think it's a Photoshop. This one takes the cake. All right. Here's a swimming pool. The work had to be done on the ceiling. Whatever that thing is, some kind of a floating thing with the scissor lift on it, and that's the one that takes the cake. All right, trivia time, Mr. Cunningham. Thank you. How much the Skyjack 32-119 weight? That's a it's a model number. Well, Skyjack works about 2,500, 2,500 pounds. Well, how much telescopic boom lift? This would be the articulating. This would be the telescopic boom lift. 16,000 pounds. All right. How high can what is it? How high can the world's largest self-propelled boom lift reach? 300 feet. Whoa. Okay. And we're going to click on that link tomorrow. All right. And just my favorite way to say, I'm not going to read all this thing here. Remember, what's the word coming? Things are regulated, legally regulated. Okay. All right, so that's the last slide. Oh wow, we are just finishing things on time. This was pretty much the last. Well, pretty much it was the last lecture that we had this term. Tomorrow when we go, we're going to tackle some of the questions and answers. Going to some reviews, and well, let's see what your knowledge retention is from the whole term. And if somebody has some challenges with something, yeah, so it's going to be a full lecture tomorrow. So it's not like, can you come or not? You should come tomorrow, right? To Z building that we're going to have that lecture on. But there will be no new content per se, although the lecture is going to be important nevertheless, right? Okay, so that's it for today, and I will see you when I see you. And some of us we're going to see you. Some of us are going to see each other tomorrow. Okay, Alt Q. Can I press that quickly? Okay, thank you, and see you tomorrow.